Bells.
All right, we will call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock, and I will just seek a motion from council. Let's see. Apologies for that, and I will just seek a motion from council to move in accordance with section 16.3 of the meeting procedures bylaw. The council appoint Councillor Oren Ford as chair for this meeting.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Councillor Erickson. All in favor? Online. Excellent, thank you. All right, I'll pass it over to you, Councillor Gordon.
Thank you for that. Moving on the agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to that agenda?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward, and just so that everybody.
Apologies, can we just get a motion for that?
Yes. Councillor Babaloa.
I move that council adopt the minutes of the April 13, 2026 regular council meeting as presented.
All those in favor? And that is carried. And just so that everybody's aware, we do have Mayor Shannon and Councillor Forsyth attending virtual. And I do believe Deputy Mayor Carr will also be attending virtual as soon as he can appear. Moving forward, item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Is there any changes that need to be made, or is somebody prepared to make a motion? Councillor Reduce.
I make the motion that council adopt the minutes of the April 13th, 2026 regular council meeting as presented.
All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to item number 2, minutes of the April 20th, 2026 special council meeting. Is there any corrections that need to be made at that? If none, somebody would like to make a motion? Councillor Erickson.
Oh, go ahead.
That's okay.
Let Mayor Shannon do it.
Mayor Shannon.
I move that council adopt the minutes of the April 20th, 2026 special council meeting as presented.
All those in favor? That motion is carried. Moving forward to item number 3, minutes of the April 23rd, 2026 special council meeting. Is there any changes to those minutes, or can we get a motion to accept? Councillor Erickson.
I move that council adopt the minutes of the April 23rd, 2026 special council meeting as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. And item number 4, public hearings. I see we have none. Item 5, delegation presentations. Massaquoi Medical Center, Ken Drysdale, chairman. And apparently they are not in the gallery right now. So we would table this till later on in the meeting when they are able to present. Moving forward to number 6, bylaw readings. Bylaw number 2187, meeting procedurals bylaw with Ms. Parsons.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Ford. So before council, you have the revised meeting procedures bylaw number 2187. This was brought to council and given first reading at the April 13th. Oh, there's a typo, 2026 council meeting. This bylaw replaces the current meeting procedures bylaw number 2174 and includes an amendment to move the comments from the public section to earlier on the council agenda. It includes a Schedule A, which is a terms of reference that outlines how that comments from the public section will operate. And then it also amalgamates the meeting procedures bylaw amendment for the deputy mayor appointment, which we did earlier in this council term, so that we just have one meeting procedures bylaw, and so that we don't have 2 in here, or now this would be a third, looking back and forth at 3 different bylaws. So we're just amalgamating this all into one with a fresh, clean bylaw. So unless there are any questions, that's all I have for you.
Are there any questions of Ms. Parsons? Seeing none. The other question I have is Mayor Shannon and Councillor Forsyth, are you able to hear okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Okay, thank you. So would somebody be prepared to make a motion? Councillor Deuce.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw number 2187, meeting procedurals bylaw as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. Is somebody prepared to make another motion? Go ahead.
Do you want me to do both? I move that council give, should be third reading, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Move that council give third reading to bylaw number 2187, meeting procedures bylaw.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion is carried. Moving forward, number 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item number 8, current business, tax auction, reserve bids with Ms. Gooden.
Thank you, council. I am here regarding setting reserve bids and sale terms and conditions for properties which are going for public tax auction. We have a date of July 16th, 2026 for the auction. Under section 418 of the MGA, municipality must offer for sale at public auction any land shown on its tax arrears list. These are properties which are 2 years in tax arrears, so 2024 and 2025 are unpaid. And section 419 of the MGA requires that council establish a reserve selling price and terms and conditions of the sale before we can have the auction, and to protect the current property owners. Thank you. The reserve bid must be set at a level that is reasonably close to the market value of the parcel. So we have provided a list of the properties and proposed reserve bids, which are based on the 2025 assessment, assessed values. And yes.
My apologies. Basically, we're just waiting on a mic, so I just wanted to make sure that Mayor Shannon and everybody could hear.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's better.
Way better.
So when we go forward with the tax auction, if the properties sell for the reserve bid price, we would recover our property taxes that are owing, and any surplus proceeds after all registered debts are paid would go to the property owner. If the property is not sold, then we would be coming back to you guys with direction on what to do with the property. There are options that the town has at that point. We have proposed terms and conditions of the sale with a non-refundable 10% cash or cash equivalent deposit, with the purchase price due 14 days after the auction date. And those terms and conditions are outlined in the draft Alberta Gazette ad that we have attached. So option 1 is that council set reserve bid amounts for the 2026 tax recovery auction properties at 2025 assessed values as provided in the table, and that you set terms and conditions for the sale as presented in the draft ad, which are attached. This would allow the auction to proceed. We are not aware of any disadvantages to this action. And the financial implication is that if sold, it allows the municipality to recover the tax arrears and pay off any other registered debts as legislated. And if the property is not sold, the town has the option to take title or choose not to take title if they don't want to. Option two, that the sale that council provide direction on setting reserve bids and terms and conditions of the sale. Given that we are limited to market value, there's not a lot of movement that you would have on the reserve bids aside from possibly adjusting them up a little bit. But you could adjust the terms of sale if you so chose. The advantage is that then you guys could change the terms and conditions of sale to something if you're wish to change them. Disadvantage and financial implications would depend on the direction you guys provide us. And option three is that council requests additional information and direct us to return at a later meeting. However, with the timelines by which we must advertise, and those are strictly legislated in the MGA, this would alter the date of our tax auction and possibly push it into the fall or later. Good. Any questions?
Is there any questions for Ms. Guidon? Mayor Shannon or Councillor Forsyth?
None for me.
No, I have none.
Okay, thank you. So seeing there's no questions, is anybody prepared to make a motion? Councillor Deuce?
I would move that council set the reserve bids for parcels to be auctioned at the 2026 tax recovery sale at 2025 assessed values as indicated in the below table, and sets the terms and conditions of the sale as presented in the draft advertisement attached hereto forming part of these minutes.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
And that is carried.
Is this gentleman our delegation presentation? Yes, he is.
To continue, or would you?
We'll move on to, being that Ms. Guidon is already at the chair, we'll move on to, item number 2, server upgrade capital project, request for additional funding. And then from there, we'll go to our tabled item to our delegate presentation.
The next item I have is regarding the server replacement project. The 2026 capital budget included the replacement of 2 servers with an estimated cost of $50,000. That was the estimated cost in late 2025. The current servers are 10 years old. They're at the end of their useful life, and we are starting to have hardware issues, and they are no longer supported by the manufacturer. And this places us at a risk of things not working. And as I'm sure pretty much everybody can appreciate, when technology goes down, you're kind of tied. You really can't do a lot. However, when we finished speccing things out and obtained current prices, the price came in close to $83,000, which is about $33,000 higher than anticipated. And this is due primarily to a huge increase in the prices of RAM over the last few months. Market forces have driven the price up, supply and demand. A lot of AI data centers are being built that require large amounts of RAM, and certain other trade issues, such as tariffs. It seems to be a hard commodity to obtain now. So we've got option 1, which is to approve the request to increase the budget for the server replacement project to $83,000 with the additional funding coming out of tax supported capital reserves, vehicles, machinery, and equipment. This would allow the project to proceed, improve the stability of our network, and reduces risk of the system failing. It is an additional cost, and it will reduce our reserve balances. So that's the disadvantage. The other option is to delay the server replacement project. It defers the capital expenditure. However, it increases the likelihood of server network issues, resulting in staff unable to access software and data. And given the trend with RAM prices, it is unlikely that delaying will result in prices coming down. We only foresee them going up at this point. So we are requesting that council approve the increase to the capital budget for the server replacement project up to $83,000. Any questions?
Is there any questions for Ms. Guidon? Mayor Shannon?
I just like to say that's a pretty important tool for our staff and organization. I think I'm willing to make that motion if there are no other questions.
Counselor Forsyth, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Go ahead, Mayor Shannon.
Okay, I move that council approves the increase to the capital budget for the server replacement project up to 83,000 with an additional 33,000 being funded from the tax supported capital reserve, vehicles, machinery and equipment.
All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
And that motion is carried. Okay, moving on, we will now go to our tabled item. Delegation presentations with Mascot Medical Center, Mr. Ken Drysdale, Chairman.
Sorry, I was a couple of minutes late there. Oh. Yeah. Sure, Mayor.
In your presentation, you want me to put it up on the screen for you?
Yeah, like there's. Like it, or do you want me to?
I no.
Hello, everyone. Ken Drysdale, Chairman of the Board, Mascot Medical Center in Grand Prairie. Born and raised in the Grand Prairie area. I spent 42 years in the pipeline construction industry throughout Western Canada. Started out to help pay for a farm, and farm just kept getting bigger, so I couldn't quit. And yeah, I retired in 2022 from that. I've been full-time on this project since then. I see there's quite a few new faces around the table from the October election. Welcome to the board of helping your community like we are in ours. Yeah, so I'm currently farming in the Grand Prairie area, just outside of the city there, and I've got a grandson that came back from Olds, so he'll be the 5th generation in that area farming. Just to give you a quick update, kind of on AFWA. I come from a personal experience with my wife from 2000 to 2002. Kind of getting pushed off in the system with cancer. Finally, she forced them to take a lumpectomy at Christmas 02, and she was diagnosed with cancer of the breast and 30% chance to make 5 years. It was stage 4 by then. Then we end up experiencing over 3 years the cross in Edmonton and plus the Mayo clinics in the United States. And when we walked into the US offices there, just amazing to us. It was like walking through a time zone, medical diagnosis and treatment. And we were lucky enough that the doctor at Edmonton and the Cross worked with us back and forth with the Mayo. And 24 years later, my wife's still here and gone through extensive treatments and limb replacements and everything due to the extension of chemo and radiation over a 3-year period. But still very active at home and in the community and riding horses. So how we came up with the name, well, just from pipeline and working in all the indigenous communities in Northwest Alberta and British Columbia, parts of Saskatchewan, when we come up with this idea of trying to do something in the Alberta system and work with Alberta Health and the premiers and ministers and stuff, since 2017. I hired a young lady from, Sucker Creek that had been going to university and asked her to find me a name that was meaningful to Indigenous peoples of Northwest Alberta. She came up with three of them. One was a fish, eagle, and a bear. And I chose the bear because I knew we were up against a culture and everybody's scared of the bear. Masco, if you ask any young Indigenous person in Northwest, he'll quickly step up and smile and tell you that it's the bear that found the lost child and returned it to his parents with the teachings of medicine and learning. We formed a not-for-profit charitable organization. We're registered right through to Ottawa. And that's any surplus funds in the future that come out of our fundraising or tenancy of the building will go back into research and education in the Northwest area. Our goal is to help improve the outcomes in our communities in the Northwest region right up to Rainbow Lake and improve the quality of life and outcomes. Benefits to the Peace region, we're innovative not-for-profit model, improve access to specialists and quality of care for patients, help recruit, train, and retain doctors locally in the Peace region, result in no overall increase to the cost of the medical system, in fact, reduce it. One thing that happened to us is when we first started in 2018, 2019, trying to get a specialist clinic put together in Grand Prairie. Just the University of Alberta approached us in November and asked us if we'd help them find space in Grand Prairie to start expanding their family physician training center residency program. And when we started to look into that, the only thing that made sense to us was put it in front of the new hospital that was built and have it close to Emerge to take some of the pressure off of that. Plus be within the realms of the med students coming out of college and up into the hospital training center. The next picture here shows where the building's located. If you've been to Grand Prairie recently, you'll see there's the parkade to the north, and to the right is the hospital. And down just below that parking lot sign and up to the right is the Emerge entrance to the hospital. We're currently working with the province to put a bedway over to the current bedway that's at the parkade. So any staff or medical professionals can go back and forth between the hospital and the building. The next one shows you the 3 floors. There was enough height in that area to have a 4th floor, but 3 floors is what we're trying to do and raise funds for it. The 4th floor was just gonna be too much capital requirements. The 1st floor is the residency program for the University of Alberta, where they train, work with 20 resident students, 10 in their first, 10 in their second, graduate 10 per year out in the community. And it's proven in the Prince George system that about 70% of them students will stay in the rural regional areas if they're trained in the area. The 2nd floor is retail. We thought it was important to help add some quality of life to the people working at the hospital or in the med program. So we have a daycare, plus a pharmacy and a restaurant. Both the daycare and the restaurant are there to serve also clients in the region. So the 3rd floor will be our specialist clinic, which we're currently engaged with Alberta Health for the ARP, which is a alternate repayment plan for doctors. And we get that in place and then we'll build out the 3rd floor. The next one to give you an idea where we're at today. We signed about a year ago a 60-year land agreement with NWP. They hold the land for Alberta Infrastructure and Trust. And it's 40 years with 2 10-year renewals. The University of Alberta 25-year tenant agreement for the 1st floor was finalized in January this year. And they're excited to get into this new space and be able to expand their residency program into the northern region. Facility tenants, we've got signed offers for the daycare and the pharmacy. The daycare will be 24 hours and about 8,000 square feet, and able to handle about 800 or 80 to 100 kids per shift. And the restaurant we're still working with, it's we've had about 25 proponents apply for both daycare and restaurant, but due to location of the building and who it's gonna serve, we've been very careful who we select. The building contractor, we select Clark Builders out of Edmonton, and we're involved through the whole process. And we were fortunate to be able to get about 70% local trades. And the contract was signed last May for about 35.7. Most recent financial budget that I went through a couple weeks ago with the builder and some other project team members. We're sitting at about 36.2 right now, so we've been able to keep it under a certain amount of control. Construction commenced in June last year. Like I said earlier, we're currently in discussions with the Pedway connection across the street. And capital funding to date, we've had 17.5 plus another 400 recently from RBC for any hands-free access like elevators and automatic door switches, not for the handicap. And another donor just recently done a pledge of 500,000 starting this year and 500,000 next year. So we're probably up to about 19 million if we add up all the pledges, not so far. Gift in kind contributions, we anticipate them to probably land around the 2 million or so at the end of the day. And that's with people like Rentco Equipment giving us 55% off on rentals. Northern Mat laid mats down for our lay down area, plus right currently we're working on site so we don't get mud out in the street. And several other companies locally. We're approaching the last year and a half, we went through 2 budgets, looking for 15 million of capital out of the province. And first go around a year ago, they said we missed the window and they kind of chased us around between infrastructure and health. And then through last summer, we met with the Premier, Finance Minister, and Health Minister, and a few others there, and we felt we were probably in line for some funding in September. Then the teachers' strike happened and they froze the treasury. So they said they were moving us to February. We resubmitted in November to the unsolicited proposal into government in late November. They were on us right away with their capital group and also Deloitte for auditors. We went through about 2.5 months of questions and Zoom calls. None of them were hard to answer. They were just looking for more details than what we put in our submission. And unfortunately, we were not announced during the budget again this year. Okay. So we're going to continue that campaign and see if we can get additional funds. I know a few people have said, even as we're walking up to it, starting last summer, that as soon as you start building, usually the province won't jump in. But we couldn't really wait because of the need up in the northwest for more doctors and specialists and stuff. And if we can keep her going here, we're going to start tenant improvements in January and have the space ready for the University of Alberta by June of next year. Next one is kind of our schedule. We're moving along to get occupancy by May, and then we had some pictures thrown in currently of where things are at, and I think there's some in here the winter. But as everyone knows, December now was a pretty tough construction month, especially doing concrete, probably one of the toughest ones in the last 2 decades. But we continued on because of the deadline and having the agreement with the University of Alberta. And when you come to the wood beam columns, they actually came out of Austria. We had 3 Canadian proponents and 1 from Austria bid the work a year and a half ago. And the Austrians were $1 million cheaper delivered to site for the structure. It was actually built as a superstructure in case we added a 4th floor, but now not adding it. We've got lots of strength to the building. And as of tomorrow, there's 3 C-cans coming with the last of the product, so we got 100% of the product on site.
Yeah.
so that it wasn't delayed at all. Me and my wife actually went over in January, visited the factories over there, their precision to detail. The other thing I'd done was had a forestry engineer look at all 4 proponents on their specifications. And the Austrians were slightly higher tensile strength and a better glue lam process and better finish to their columns and beams. The next one is with the communities that have helped us out to date. A year ago, and we made the same tour here. We made 32 presentations throughout Northwest Alberta. And I committed to come back every year to give updates to the communities. The one thing is any surplus down the road, once we get the building built, we plan on helping out the Northwest. The next one is a lot of community funders, community partners that have helped us out to date. And you'll see where the board members ourselves has put in over 600,000 in donations and over 35,000 volunteer hours and 8,000 kilometers driven over the last 6-7 years to get the project to where it's at today. And we're partners with our West Alberta Foundation for charitable donations also. The next one, we did have a slide since being here last year because it was hard to explain to everybody what our vision was. If you look at the one on the left, if you're outside of your family physician, need to go see a specialist. Everyone's going to Edmonton, Red Deer, and Calgary. The one on the right is kind of what we're trying to do. Grant Prairie be the collector of difficult cases and stop people's travel so much out to Edmonton. And eventually there's a third one, but we haven't shown it yet because we want to get this program going. It's with surplus funds. We'd like to probably end up putting a satellite office in High Level, one in Peace River and one in Slave Lake. So families that need to see a specialist, maybe go into that facility first or an office and zoom into our facility and maybe be able to figure stuff out without the family having to travel. We hired a consultant in January to help us get our ARP in place for the 3rd floor. And the recent information he found was in 2024, there was 22,000 appointments made out for consults or visits to Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, or other specialists outside of the region. And using the nominal government rates, that's about 6.5 million out of the taxpayers' pockets to go to see those specialists. It's time away from work, it's travel, it's hotels, and it's fuel. So if we can get things in place, hopefully we can help the residents out in that area. The next slide is the one we showed last year, and we're using to go around to the communities because our budget was 35 million and there was 207,716 in 2021 or 2023 population. You divide that into 35 million. It actually is a capital investment of about 168, 170 per man, woman, and child in the Northwest. And that's what we're using to kind of explain to everybody what the investment is. We're not here to ask for that today or anything. It's just we're showing communities what it is. Some have done that number, and if they have the reserves, they're helping out in those areas. Even if someone from the community donates, we take it off of the number, and hopefully over multiple years we cover it off. So what this tripper here is this year in the presentation, what we're looking for is if you know of anyone in the community, a retired teacher or something that would like to go around to schools and start meeting with the classes grade 7 to 12 and letting them know what's in the region, what's coming to Grande Prairie. If they want to get in the medical field, it's not traveling out to the big cities or Ontario anymore to get an education in the medical field or become a doctor or a specialist or a surgeon. University of Alberta plans on training up to general internist and specialists down the road once they get open. And then the other one is to see if you knew of anyone to be a champion in the region that might be interested in being a Friends of Mascouin, helping raise funds in the region to help us out with our capital costs. So the building itself, once it's built and fully tenanted up, it can handle about $15 million worth of debt. And we're hoping to get enough funds in order to to make that work over the next couple of years. So that's about the end of my presentation. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. And sorry, I don't have a colleague with me today, but since the sun started shining, they don't want to drive with me, so.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Is there any questions for Mr. Drysdale?
Just have one.
Counselor Hughes?
So, great project. I just spent a lot of time last summer there with my father in the Grand Prairie Hospital dealing with cancer diagnosis. Just a question about the specialist clinic. Are you guys going to be hiring the doctors or are you just leasing out the spaces to them?
No, we're gonna be hiring the doctors. We got a few of the local general internists right now that we're meeting with regular, and we'll have doctor leads and that.
Okay.
And they've given us a list of about 4 or 5 specialists that they send people out to regular from our region, or acute cases. And those are the ones we'll be trying to recruit first. But that floor will be run by medical professionals with the board kind of
Right.
ministered, governed over it, so.
Cool. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for Mr. Drysdale? Mayor Shannon or Counselor Forsyth online?
No, I'm pretty familiar with it.
No questions from me.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation, and as you're aware, there won't be any decisions made this evening, but administration will be in touch with your group in the future.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And like I said, I'm not here asking for money. I just wanna keep you aware, and if we can find some fundraisers in the region, greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
So moving forward back into current business, item number 3, 101st Street. Storm sewer repair capital project, request for additional funding with Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, good. This is Tom. Yeah, it is. Good evening. So this one's been on our books for quite a while. We had applied to the province 2 years in a row for grant funding under their local municipal initiatives program. We were not successful both times. So we went ahead and finished up the design, updated it, got posted. It was posted earlier this year for tender. We had 4 proponents respond to the tender with prices ranging from a little bit under $1 million, $1.1 million. So we rounded up to 1.1 in the RFP. It's like 1,070,000 or something. To $1.5 million. All 4 of them are kind of in the region here. With 2 of them kind of operating locally. So, we had some consulting costs for this one, just given the nature of the work. It's pretty important to make sure that there's a geotechnical person on site, just in case things go wrong. So just to make sure that we've got enough money to finish the construction. I'm asking if council would approve a budget increase. I think we need about $200,000 to give me a little bit of a contingency and cover those consulting costs. The best option is from the tax supported general infrastructure reserve. Is that one? Yeah. Sorry, tax supported capital infrastructure reserve. So option 1 would be funded through that. Option 2 is kind of deny it, or option 3 would be something up to the council needs to do. My recommendation would be to fund it, get this moving, so we can get it done. Timelines for construction would be pretty reasonable. Contractor was hoping sort of by end of July they could wrap everything up.
Any questions for Director Fisher? Any questions from online?
None for me, thank you.
No, I don't have any questions. I guess I'll just maybe just one. Is that pretty standard, kind of 15 to 20% for contingency for this type of project?
It's not just contingency, it does cover my engineering costs as well for that, but given that it's designed and going to construction, I'd usually try and keep about 10% Councillor Forsyth, given the nature of where it is possible that it could be higher, but I'll come and ask shamelessly if we need more to just get it done.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Fisher? Seeing none, would anybody be prepared to make a motion? Councillor Babaloa,
I move that council approve an increase of the capital budget for the 101 street storm sewer and roadway repair projects to $1.3 million with the additional 200,000 being funded from third supported capital reserve, buildings and engineering structures.
all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
And that is carried. Moving on to the next item, Government of Alberta Functional Planning Study, intersection near Highway 2 and 78th Street with Director Fisher.
Yeah, this one's me as well. I think I'm still on here, Mike. Maybe I'm on. Yeah. Okay. So a couple years ago, the Economic Development Committee kind of reached out to Alberta Transportation, looking to see if it would be possible to get an update on future plans for the intersection at 78th Street and the Highway 2. Just to see if there's some surplus lands that could maybe be spun out to some of the businesses nearby, because there's a future fairly large interchange planned there. And so the minister basically wrote us a letter saying there'd be a future study to look at the functionality of the highway and how it all works, to see if this could happen. This is just kind of an informational for councils that study is starting by the province this year. There will be there's an information request to the town for some additional information to support the design team. But there will be a public consultation component to this. They're just waiting to confirm. So the province and their consultant will be reaching out to targeted businesses along there and some residents to participate. And I think we're going to be asked to do some advertising for them for their public engagement processes. It is really worthwhile for the community to get involved, and this is where you guys come in, is making sure that talking to businesses and stuff to say, hey, make sure you participate, take a look at this, because it does form sort of the basis of what the highway will look like 20 or 30 years from now. So that process has started. It's about 1 to 2 year kind of process before they wrap up the study and come up with all the plans. But it's just for information primarily, and then once the public consultation dates are set, we'll kind of share some of that advertising for the province and let you guys know as well.
Does anybody have any questions for Director Fisher?
Nope.
Councillor Forsyth?
No, I have none.
Okay, seeing no questions, is anybody prepared to make a motion? Councillor Duke?
I would move that council accept the briefing note regarding the Government of Alberta's Functional Planning Study, intersection near Highway 2 and 78th Street for information.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion is carried. So moving on to item number 5. I'm gonna make sure I get this right. So this is Deputy Mayor's notice of motion. Now, he would be able to speak to it tonight just to give clarity, but he's not online. So my understanding, there is no debate. It's just, we're voting on the motion to see if council is prepared to move forward with Deputy Mayor Carr's motion. Am I correct?
Yes, that was a very good description. So basically, questions for clarification, completely okay. But the intention is not to debate the intent of the motion. It's to whether or not you want to action that motion forward for direction to administration. I will say I would like to give the option, depending on how council is feeling about this, if we want to postpone it until the May 11th meeting, for Deputy Mayor Carr to be in attendance to speak to this. I would be very comfortable contemplating a motion to postpone to the May 11 meeting. If council feels that Deputy Mayor Carr would be comfortable to just move forward right now, then that's okay too, but I just want to extend that option for you.
Any questions?
I feel we can kind of decide now because everybody is here. The motion is straightforward. We know what the intent is. We only want to find out what is required to apply and possibly what the cost implication is and stuff like that. So it's kind of straightforward. I don't see the need to postpone it. That's my suggestion.
Mayor Shannon,
I agree with the Emmy.
Councillor Forsyth,
Yep, I agree as well.
any other comments?
So.
Ms. Parsons?
Thank you. So typically, it would be the person who put forward the notice of motion who would make the motion, but without him here, the motion, whoever is making it would basically just read exactly as written in the RFP.
So the motion that is put forward in writing is a motion that's made, so we're just voting on his motion. Okay, so from the consensus of council, Ms. Parsons, would you be able to read Deputy Mayor Carr's motion, please?
Absolutely. So the motion will be moved to direct administration to contact MMSA and inquire about what is required to apply for membership with MMSA and report back to council at the next meeting of council.
Okay, so the motion's on the floor. All those in favor?
Apologies, who's
Who's making the motion?
Okay,
I'll do it.
Councillor Erickson? I thought the motion that was written is the motion. So, pardon me?
He's just not here to make.
Oh, I thought it's because it's written, he did make the motion.
If you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Moving on to item number 9, does anybody want to take a break or do you want to push through? Okay, pushing through item number 9, reports. North Peace Housing Board meeting synopsis. Deputy Mayor Carr was not here this evening, so if anybody has any questions, I guess we could email those questions to him. March 26, council event attendance reports with Councillor Babaloa and Councillor Deuce. Anything you would like to highlight?
No.
Okay, would anybody be prepared to make a motion on items 9 for information? Councillor Babaloa,
I move that council accept reports 9.1 and 9.2 for information.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion is carried. Next is item number 10, council communications package. Is there anything that we need to highlight in those packages? Mayor Shannon,
No, nothing I can think of.
would anybody prepared to make a motion? Councillor Deuce,
I would move that council accept items 10.1 for information.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Item number 11, are there any notices of motion?
I've received none, thank you.
Okay, seeing none, moving on to item 12, comments from the public. Apparently the gallery is empty. So now next item would be item 13, closed session. If somebody would like to move us into closed. Councillor Erickson, so moves. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried.